Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to Stef ABtv. This is the Mini GP or the GP3, number 25 according to these really out there side blades. But in this video, what I want to do is talk to you guys about whether you should buy a Mini GP3 or should you go for the less powerful Mini JCW. Now, the reason I wanted to make this video is because I've been very fortunate that Mini gave me a JCW for about a month, and I took it on a bit of a road trip. I took it to the south of France, so I really got to know the Mini JCW quite well. If you haven't seen those videos, then check them out. They are on the channel. They are very, very good fun. I've also spent quite a bit of time with this car as well. I flew across the world for the launch of the Mini GP3 over to Palm Springs, which was absolutely awesome. I got to experience what it was like as a passenger on a track. I also then took this on a small circuit around Bicester and had a bit of a driving feel of it, what it was like on a track there, and also a bit of a road review. However, I wanted to reconnect with the GP3 because having just come out of the JCW literally about a week and a half ago, it would be a good time now to jump straight back into the GP3 and find out, one, just how different the GP3 is, and two, is it worth the extra money, or should you just buy a JCW? Because there is a question around usability as well. So that's what we're going to dive in today. If that's something you're interested in, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. It really does help the channel. Before we run some facts, there's one thing that you cannot hide from in the Mini GP3, and that's its aggressive styling. I am a sucker for things that look cool. I love this wing. I love these kind of flared arches and these wind blades. I know they're not to everybody's taste, but for me, I think this car looks awesome, and yeah, I'm a big fan. So in terms of numbers, if we're going to start with just kind of the performance and compare the two, the Mini GP has 300 brake horsepower and it's running a 2-litre 4-cylinder B48 engine, which is also found in the BMW M135i and the clubby JCW. However, the Mini hatch, the JCW, which I had, run 230 brake horsepower from its 2-litre 4-cylinder. Now, the GP3 only comes in an 8-speed automatic gearbox, which was a bit of a bone for contention from a lot, whereas the JCW, you have the option for the 6-speed manual as well. So you still get the 8-speed automatic box in the JCW, but you can opt for a manual. 0 to 62 miles per hour is dispatched on the GP in 5.2 seconds, which is very quick. And on the JCW, you're going to be able to get 6.1 seconds in the auto and 6.3 seconds in the manual. In terms of top speed, you're going to get 165 miles per hour. Just let that sink in. 165 miles per hour from a Mini. I mean, that's ridiculous compared to 153 miles per hour cap that you get on the 230 bhp JCW. But look, performance figures are one thing, but there's more to a car than just its performance. You need to kind of factor in its usability, and that's what we're going to find out. So let's jump in the GP3 and go for a drive. One thing I always will remember when you get into a Mini GP3, that thrill, that excitement always exists. Wow. Now, the difference, first of all, in terms of power is pretty steep. You know, let's not beat around the bush. We know that there's about 70 horsepower difference, which does make a massive difference to a car's performance and how it feels, particularly when you remove a lot of weight out of this car, because of course the Mini GP3 has no rear seats. Now, that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, I guess, because when you start to look at a car's usability, that's something that, for me anyway, personally, is actually pretty good, but for a lot of people, not so much. It's quite interesting. Immediately what I find in here versus the JCW is the road noise. Now, a lot of that is because the GP3 is quite stripped out, but there are parts of road that I'm actually on that I actually overhear the road noise over than the car's engine and exhaust. And Minis, and in general, are not the greatest at hiding road noise on anything other than perfect condition tarmac. So The GP3 and the JCW both suffer for it, but I would say that you hear it more in this because you've got no rear seats and there's hardly any sound deadening. So that's one thing to take into account. In terms of how it feels to kind of drive and sit in, it feels very familiar, if I'm honest with you. I've still got the kind of digital display in the middle, which is on the new 2021 MINI JCW. In fact, it premiered, if you like, if that even a thing, premiere. It launched here on the MINI GP3 first time round. And over the years, I guess, it's kind of made its way into a lot of the other cars. Let's talk about torque steer. That was terrible. Right, let's put it into sport and let the car do it for me. It's very, very nippy. Sound, if I'm honest with you, it sounds very similar to that of the JCW. We still get that kind of enhanced noise in the cabin, but I think that's okay, I guess. Now this is something that I also remember. The torque steer on the GP3, if I'm being completely honest, is ridiculous. It's crazy. It reminds me a lot of the 4C of the Abarth that I decided to stick loads of negative camber on. It's a very similar sensation, and unfortunately what that does is it removes a lot of the usability. The moment you put any kind of form of throttle acceleration through the MINI GP3, it tries to drive you, so you really need to be focused and really pay attention to the kind of undulations within the road. You don't have to do that in the JCW, but then at the same time the JCW isn't a completely focused track weapon. You really do feel that. It's definitely got a lot more punch. It feels a little bit more compliant around the corners. I wouldn't say it's like drastically different, if I'm being honest, because the JCW now has the adaptive damper. It means that the normal driving is more comfortable. But as I attack a corner in the GP3, the steering input is very minimal. You don't have to do an awful lot because of the way the camber is set up, which actually around a track and around some kind of twisty mountain roads, this will be phenomenal. I'm not saying the JCW isn't, but this will feel a lot more involving, a lot more engaging. Personal preference, that is, of course. But then a road trip isn't just about honing it around corners, is it? It's about the overall drive, and how would this kind of fare? Well, we get cruise control in this, which is brilliant. I mean, look at this. The handling is just, it's brilliant, brilliant. You get things like cruise control in this, so you can really enjoy a bit of pedal off mentality. Where this is going to come alive is going to be when you actually want to drive it, because just, I mean, these little twisties here, this car is it's brilliant. It's really, really good. As I said, from an interior perspective, very, very similar. I prefer the old steering wheel, if I'm honest, to the new one. You don't have as much kind of piano black all over here, which means that magnet for fingerprints disappears slightly. I do like the way the steering wheel is set up. I like the paddles. They feel much more premium in the GP. The screen setup, again, very, very similar. Really and truly, it feels pretty much identical in here now to the 2021 MINI JCW. You can hear that road noise now, can't you? Like the pickup of the road coming through the cabin is quite loud. And I don't know whether it's specifically the tyres or if it's just the thing that Minis suffer from. But either way, it's more enhanced in this, in the GP3, than it is in the MINI JCW. Again, kick down into second. It's brilliant. It really is good in terms of pickup, but it's a very draining kind of drive where, you know, I mean, to be fair, it's a draining kind of drive when you really want to get involved. If you just want to drive it normally, I just pop it into the higher gears and not kind of throw this around like a kid throwing his ragdoll around. This becomes a very normal car. It's only really when you unleash it, when you put your foot to the floor, that's where the torque steer comes in. That's where you really have to kind of fight it from going left and right, left and right. In terms of sound, the exhaust sound on this is pretty okay. It's pretty good. It's permanently in sports mode, which means you get a few kind of pops and crackles out the back, which I do like. Other than that, what else can I say? The looks, the styling, which is a little bit hit and miss for a lot of people. Personally, I love it. I really like it. Let me spin her around because we don't need to go that much further. I like the styling. There's been a lot of people who said, oh, I don't like those little flared arch things, but I love them. But then again, I'm your typical customer or person that just likes ASBO stuff. I think it just looks out there, and the fact that this is a limited edition car adds to the excitement, in my opinion. You see that? That was like literally wheel spinning. I like it. I like it a lot. And so we get to the $1 million question, or the £38,000 question, with about a £5 difference, I guess, because that's how much the JCW versus the GP3's costs are. There's about a £5 difference at the time of filming this anyway. The question becomes is, what one do you buy? You know, do you go for the GP3 or do you go for the MINI JCW? Well, I think you need to ask yourselves two questions really. And the first one is, what are you going to use the car for? Are you a very spirited driver that's going to spend the majority of the time in this on tracks, on really nice twisty roads, on a bit of everything? Or are you a driver that's really kind of looking for an all-round perfect car to cover all bases? Now, if track driving, if spirited driving is something that you're really into, then get one of these. Get a MINI GP3, because the fun factor, the involvement, the excitement is just that more enhanced than that on the JCW. However, if you're looking for a one-shoe-fits-all kind of car, don't get the GP3, get the JCW. Or get a Clubman JCW if you want the performance as well. But the MINI JCW hatch, the 230 horsepower one, gives you a bit more versatility. It gives you rear seats. The suspension isn't as harsh. The driving is a lot more easy. You don't feel torque steer everywhere you go. So yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, if you gave me the choice right now, JCW GP3, because in the fact that I spent a lot of time in a JCW, I think I'd still take the GP3 personally, but that's because I'm a nutter and I just like that craziness and I want to get it all out of my system before I don't have a chance to do that anymore when everything goes electric. But overall, great car, GP3, and the JCW is also a great car. Anyway, what do you think? Which one would you have, the JCW or the GP3? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please smash the like button and I'll see you all very soon on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.